Every family has an origin story, one passed down through the generations. Mine happens to be a mystery involving my great-great-grandmother left behind in Sicily. I'm Jo Piazza, and my new podcast will transport you to the gorgeous island of Sicily as I trace my roots back through a whodunit for the ages. Listen to The Sicilian Inheritance on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Maya Shankar, and I'm a scientist who studies human behavior. Many of us have experienced a moment in our lives that changes everything, that instantly divides our life into a before and an after. On my podcast, A Slight Change of Plans, I talk to people about navigating these moments. Their stories are full of candor and hard-won wisdom. And you'll hear from scientists who teach us how we can be more resilient in the face of change. Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Black Effect presents Family Therapy, and I'm your host, Elliot Connie. Jay is the woman in this dynamic who is currently co-parenting two young boys with her former partner, David.
David, he is a leader. He just don't want to leave me.
But how do you lead a woman? How do you lead in a relationship? Like, what's the blueprint?
David, you just asked the most important question. Listen to Family Therapy on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi everyone, it's Amanda Rieger Green. Welcome to Soul Sessions and welcome to May. Thank goodness Mercury retrograde and eclipse season have officially come to a close because they were challenging. And I tell you what, I always embrace Mercury retrograde, and I'm going to say this, and I say it often, all the planets retrograde. We experience Mercury retrograde in our faces because Mercury orbits closest to the Earth, and Mercury is the planet of communication. It rules technology and traffic and all the glitches we experience. But in Aries, where it retrograded, which it is still in Aries and will be until May 15th when it shifts into Taurus, and it's moving through what we call the shadow phase, which is the territory it covers before it retrogrades, when it retrogrades back through a phase, and then it comes back for a third and final pass, moving direct over those degrees in the chart where it retrograded. So we're still kind of getting our clarity around things, but there's momentum. But I tell you what, this retrograde was janky. It caused more glitches and scheduling conflicts and shifts and changes and plot twist and tires falling off the vehicle. Literally, we had a tire on my husband's truck bend in the middle of the street, and we had to get the truck towed like 200 yards up to the tow place. I mean, and I went to get a computer cord, and I had to go back 3 different times because they didn't have the cord. I could go on and on about the glitches that happened. And every time I would laugh, and then finally I stopped laughing and I got pissed off. And I don't say pissed off often because my mother did not like me to say that. She'd say, ooh, Amanda, no, don't say that. But it really hacked me off to where I just got angry. And guess what? Aries is a pretty pissy, angry sign when it's in its shadow. So if you got really flustered, frustrated, a little hacked, a little angry, if you blew your lid a few times, I did. I'm going to say, I guess it's okay. And hopefully, if you needed to make amends or really take accountability for stuff that was blowing up or igniting within you, I hope you can do that. I've done that to the best of my ability, but some stuff needed to blow. And we were in an eclipse season that was on the axis of Aries and Libra, the individual Aries and the how we deal with people in relationships, Libra. That's a lot of life stuff, y'all. The I and the me and the we and the you and people, and it's people-y out there. And oh my gosh, the world would be so great if there weren't just people, And I say that because we are here for relationship. We're here to interact. Yet if we don't know our voice, our truth, that's where we experience the challenges in our interpersonal relationships. So we've gotten a big cosmic upgrade. And for most of us, it's been uncomfortable. And I tell you what else has come up. Apart from just that day-to-day glitches, setbacks, frustrations, things feeling like they're not quite settled, clear, or taking off, there's that. But there's also been some really deep spiritual work going on. So for me, and the way I have seen this in many other people, is that it's almost like this crisis of self or soul, where I've felt lost at times. And the best way I know to describe this, and this is how I have experienced it, is externally, peripherally, my day-to-day, my schedule, what's on my plate, and then some of my goals or the direction forward felt really foggy. I mean, I could suit up, show up, do what was on my plate, adjust my plans, make all the tweaks, do daily life. So there was a steadiness underneath all of this kind of fear and chaos and frustration and confusion. There was a certainty or a knowing or a steadiness. And some of that is my hopefulness and excitement for the energies that are coming through the higher levels of consciousness and frequency. And it's not easy. But then some of it is just, I'm here for this. I signed up for this lifetime. I know my soul is ready. And also dissolve my freaking ego. I mean, my ego has been tested left and right, and we all have an ego. And let me say this, the ego is always trying to give us what we want. It's just a bit misguided because it's directed through fear. And it's, I'm not going to have enough. I'm not going to have what I want. I'm going to lose what I have. I'm not going to get what I want. I'm not going to be loved. I'm not going to be liked. You know, I'm not recognized. I'm not seen. I'm misunderstood. When am I going to be happy? I mean, it can come through in 1,000 forms of delusion. This eclipse season and retrograde and Pluto moving into Aquarius. You know, this is the revolutionary energy we've been talking about, is something is being revolutionized within us. And that steadiness deep down of, I know, not just I am, it's I know. I know I am meaningful. I know I am sovereign. I know I am safe. I know I am divine. Whatever your knowing is, see where you can feel that. The confusion externally is clearing, and I feel that. I see it. I trust it. Energy is picking up speed. Go at your own pace. But the deep-seated spiritual kind of conflicts or crisis, I was experiencing some dark night of the soul stuff, and it wasn't like I was totally lost, but I was feeling a sense of loss. And it was a loss or a grief of old versions of me that needed certain things or thought I needed certain things, whether it was recognition or significance or X amount of money in the bank or this kind of relationship or friendship, validation, X amount of fill in the blank. I mean, all of that stuff was very confronting, but deep down it was like, I just know. I know I'm going to be okay. I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I know the energy is shifting me. Keep showing up, keep getting still, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and take accountability for yourself, Amanda. So wherever you are in your process and your journey, see where you can tap into this deeper sense of knowing. And what I will also say for me that got confusing is I kept feeling like I was dropping into escapism. So escapism can come in many different forms. It can come, of course, in alcohol and drugs, but that's not an option for me today. That ticket has been punched. I know that I don't have the luxury of having a drink to just chill out and relax or those sorts of things. But escapism can come in food or TV or, no, this isn't really happening. No, I'm just going to be fine. I'm just going to be fine. This isn't happening. But I kept feeling like I was hiding or escaping. In reality, I recognized that my body was tired. My mind was tired. The answers weren't coming, but I was feeling a tremendous amount of physical exhaustion. So it was like, okay, I'm ready to just go to bed now. I've gotten everything done. There's nothing more I need to do or can do that is going to shift how I feel or what's going on around me. I can't speed up the date on the calendar. It was like, it can't be 3 weeks from now. Today is today. And if I feel like I'm escaping, I'm actually listening to those instinctual responses of, you need rest, or you are tired, let your body rejuvenate. So if you experienced a lot of exhaustion, and you can look back and recognize where you just wanted to numb out, meaning television, food, whatever those coping or escapist mechanisms are, notice that, but see how maybe that's shifting and you're getting some revitalization, some momentum, and wanting to take some action. And that leads right into May, the astrology and numerology and what energies are coming through. I'm going to start with the numerology because I flippin' love it this month. Like, I love, love, love it. It's a 4-month in numerology. May is the 5th month of the year. We are in an 8-year in numerology. 2024 is an 8. And if you add 8 plus 5, that's 13. I just had to do the numbers I just counted on my finger, even though I know what 8 plus 5 is. 8 plus 5 is 13. So we reduce it down. 1 plus 3 equals 4. So we are in a 4-month in numerology in an 8 universal year. This is probably one of my favorite combinations. I also love the 4 and the 9, but I love the 4 and the 8 because they go hand in hand. The 8 is more energetic and emotional. The 4 is grounded and practical. So to me, the 8 and the 4 represent the right and left hemispheres of the brain. If you want to think about it that way, the practical, pragmatic is the 4, and the intuitive, creative, whimsical is the 8. So we get this beautiful confluence of practical, quality-oriented action. That's the energy of the 4. And the 8 says, how am I harnessing my emotions? So my empowerment, my creativity, my juju, my vitality, and moving forward, flushing out the fear and stepping into faith. So really see how you can balance that out. So let's talk about the energy of the 4. One of the first things I always say when we deal with 4 energy, and if you draw a 4 on your piece of paper, it literally looks like a grid. You draw the 4, it's very linear, and it's like a grid. There are 4 quadrants in that grid. That is the energy of the 4. It's very linear, it's functional, it's practical, pragmatic. It's about boundary setting. It's about delineating. It's about a process, an organization, an order. It's about a formulary, meaning if I do this, then this will be accomplished. So it's very logical. Also, the 4 is about clearing clutter. And if there is anything that is super, super valuable this month and will be valuable from a practical perspective and a spiritual perspective, it's clean house, which what that means is it is time to clear clutter. And it is also time to engage consistently, the 4 likes consistency, in healthy, practical routine. And so that can be spiritual practices. It can be your health and wellness practices. It can be your daily routine with your family. You don't have to bite off big chunks because the 4 is a little overzealous, especially when we combine it with the energy of the 8, which is already overzealous. They're kind of like, I want to get everything done. Let me get it done now. And more is more. And it's not more is more. It's less is more, quality over quantity, simplify to amplify. So this is your to-do list kind of month. And when you cross something off the list, feel the energy of the satisfaction of a job well done, because the 4 loves satisfaction, meaning, oh, that feels good. You know what it feels like when you get the laundry done. And I don't mean just get the laundry done and stuff's hanging in your laundry room, or you've got it folded sitting on the chair in your room in a big ass pile. I mean, get the laundry done and then you put it away in your closet and there's nothing hanging in the laundry room or nothing sitting on the chair in your room and it is put away, or your bed is made up. Simplify it. For me, it's in the morning around my vanity when I brush my teeth or I'm putting makeup on and doing all my daily skincare routine things. I don't leave stuff out on the counter. I put it back where it goes, and there's some kind of satisfaction to the process of organization rather than leaving stuff messy. I mean, sure, every now and then I'm busy or I'm going somewhere and I leave stuff out, but I like the sensation and the recognition of, okay, I've done these things, now I've put this away and the drawer is closed and I wiped the counter down. My mom was big on wiping the vanity or the kitchen counters down. Like, she didn't like dishes in the sink. And, you know, when you brush your teeth and you know how sometimes we don't completely wash it out and the sink gets gross. Y'all know, everybody knows. Well, that was not acceptable in my household, like for my mother. Okay, my mom was a super control freak, right? And I say that with a lot of love because I have controlling tendencies and I know what they are. But she was all about clean out the sink. You know, don't let it build up over days. You know, wipe the counter down a little bit. So taking a little bit of extra time to clean up your space. It's like being in kindergarten. Do y'all remember being in kindergarten or first grade? When we did our arts and crafts and our projects, the teacher had us clean up the space afterwards. And this is the same kind of energy this month. Clean up your space. Do you have to go overboard and be so meticulous? No, but think about, do I clean up after myself? Is it easier for me after I eat this meal to just go ahead and wash the dishes? Even if I am a little bit tired, can it feel good to wash the dishes and wipe off the sink around the counter and fold the dish towel and just say, this feels clean and it feels organized? Find little ways to take out the trash. Like, for instance, when I get out of my car, if I have, a granola bar wrapper and a can of club soda, I go ahead and I don't leave it in the car. I take it with me and I throw it in the trash can or the recycle bin in the garage. And it just feels good to take it with me then versus it all pile up and it get really cluttered and then it becomes overwhelming and I put it off and I put it off and next thing you know, a whole area is trashed or stuff starts to pile up. When those things happen around us in the physical world, and the sun is in Taurus, friends, Taurus is about the physical world. It's about the material world, material things, which is part of our human experience. It's part of our psychology, money, our things, where we have our things. This energy is about the material. And the material is a direct representation of the immaterial a lot of times. In the world of manifestation, the esoteric, our insides and our outsides, when we work to reconcile them, whether you're working on cleaning up the inside or you're working up cleaning on the outside, it's all interconnected, as above, so below. So when I do things like that, when we do things like that, it signals something in our brains, in our bodies, in our emotional state of being, and also spiritually in our consciousness of, I'm clearing clutter. The 4 energy not only represents streamlining, clearing, and cleansing, it's also about solid foundations. Am I standing on solid ground? And for many of us, we're human. Sometimes I feel like I'm from another planet. And maybe I am. But we're human. So the material world is a beautiful place to get practical. Clean out the messy drawer in the kitchen, clean out your makeup drawer, your tackle box, whatever it is. And you don't have to clean out the whole garage, the whole closet. I always say start with a drawer or just your jeans in your closet. Do one thing and take a moment to feel satiated in how good it feels, the satisfaction of a job well done, one step at a time. And the 4 is about a step-by-step process, one step at a time. So I encourage you this month to begin to clear clutter a little bit physically, because it will help you unconsciously on a mental and an emotional and a spiritual level. And that will help you feel more solid and secure as you move forward in that space of knowing that I was referring to. This is also the month to take action and ownership of your own power. It's kind of like a take your power back month. So I would say take your empowerment back this month, meaning if I want to change how I feel, if I want to change this relationship or what I'm doing or what I'm experiencing, then guess who's responsible? I am. What I do wholeheartedly and consistently will have an impact on my perspective, my energy, and my interactions. That's where you want to start this month. Let me just back up for a second. When you combine the energy of the 4 and the 8, there can be quite a bit of traction that happens, like noticeable, tangible shifts or evidence of change. Like if you've been struggling in a job or with a health issue or in a relationship, whatever it is for you, if you own your side of the street, start clearing some clutter, and maybe it is just cleaning, like maybe you're in a difficult relationship that you know is not growing, is stagnant, is unhealthy. Clean out your closet and do it with purpose. Do it with intention of, I'm going to go clean out my closet. And maybe this is not about having a conversation with this partner. It's about me, and it's about me organizing something and feeling in charge of it and feeling satisfied, because that's the energy that you will be able to impart when you have the clarity to sit down and have a meaningful conversation about how you feel, what you need, and what needs to change, and how you can move forward with that logically in that job with that person. So you don't have to do this all at once. Let it play out through the course of the month. But this month also asks for a little bit of courage, meaning consistency is important with the clearing of the house, clearing of the head and the heart. But the courage is whatever you've been afraid of. And this is what I want to break down. And then I'll talk about the astrology a little bit and some power dates with the astrology and how they interplay and how you can capitalize on those, let's say. But I want to break this down step by step.
I'm preaching to somebody today who is waiting for God to give you your next step. And you don't know what it is yet. You need God to show you your next step. Because God, I can't stay where I am, like I am, where it is. This isn't going to work. I have to move on, but I don't know where. A lot of time you'll use it as an excuse. Well, I don't know how. I don't know where. I don't know what. God, if you show me. God, if you tell me. God, if... No. You know enough right now. And if you needed to know more, he would show you.
Hey, this is Stephen Furtick. I want to invite you to listen to my podcast, Elevation with Stephen Furtick. I am here to help you for the battles that you face in life, for the times when you feel discouraged, for the times that you need guidance from God. I want to give you the truth of what he says about you to help you rise to your full potential. Listen to Elevation with Stephen Furtick every Sunday and Friday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy, my son, the General.
And we are your hosts of TMI. New year, new name, new energy, but
same old us. Oh,
yeah. And catch us every Wednesday on the Black Effect Network, breaking down social and civil rights issues, pop culture, and politics in hopes of pushing our culture forward to make the world a better place for generations to come. But that's not all. We will also have special guests to add their thoughts on the topics, as well as break down different political issues with local activists in their community. If you like to be informed and to expand your thoughts, listen to TMI on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
That's right.
Oh, hi, I'm Rachel Zoe, and I'm back for another season of my podcast, Climbing in Heels. You might know me from the Rachel Zoe Project, or perhaps from my work as a celebrity stylist. And guess what? I'm still just as fully obsessed with all things fashion, beauty, and business. My podcast, Climbing in Heels, is all about celebrating the stories of extraordinary women, and this season, we're taking things up a notch. I'll be talking to some incredible women across so many industries, from models and beauty industry stars to doctors, entrepreneurs, and TV personalities. Climbing in Heels is here to bring you a weekly dose of glamour, inspiration, and fun. Every week, listeners will be able to ask me any questions. I'm answering it all. My life is absolutely crazy with so much going on, and I'm so beyond excited to bring you along for the ride. Whether we're talking red carpet looks, current trends, or products I'm obsessed with, I'm here to be your fashion fairy godmother. Listen to Climbing in Heels every Friday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I want to break this down step by step. If something has been freaking you out, but you know that it's in your heart, it's in your soul, it's time to change, and it's been frustrating you or irritating you or keeping you playing small or weak or in fear for way too long, and it's keeping you suffering or in pain, this is the month to take action around it. Now, am I saying storm out of your job because you're just quitting and you're done? No, this is about maturity and responsibility and planning. I mean, this is about planning. The 4 loves planning, by the way. And Taurus is slow to freaking change. So it's not like you're going to be in this accelerated energy where you're like, I'm done and the universe has got me. No. You got to be realistic. You can't be delusional. So remember, you play with that practical and that emotional component and that energetic component of faith over fear, but you make plans. What is my plan? If I'm going to eliminate something or make a courageous change, what wheels have I set in motion? What plan am I playing out? And is this going to be sustainable for me? So whatever is coming up that has been coming up for months, and I would say something that's been on your heart for longer than the past 6 months. I'm going to give you that time frame because I can relate it to clients I work with and for myself personally. If something's been coming up really in the last year that you know is outdated, not a good fit anymore, exhausting you, diminishing your creativity, your vitality, your life force, anything that feels like you've outgrown it, this would be the month to start taking action. And the first place to start is to communicate it with yourself. I'm ready. I'm ready to change. I'm open. I'm willing. What are the steps I need to take? And sometimes for me, the steps are in my heart and it's making a decision. I think one of the most fundamental things that we can do when we evolve and grow, and I know this to be true for myself and for many other people, is making a decision. This is not a sit on the fence energy. Maybe I'll go do that. No, maybe I'll buy this. This is not a maybe month. This is a, yep, I'm scared as hell. But if I don't do this, then I'm going to be unhappy for another 6, 8 months, 3 years. Or I'm going to be unfulfilled. Or the life force is going to be drained out of me. And I'm just going to be square peg round holing it, going against the tide. Because the 8 energy, the numerology this year says, freaking swim with the tide. I always think of the energy of the 8 like a surfer. And if you draw the 8 on a piece of paper and you turn it on its side, it's the infinity symbol. So I think of surfing. And the analogy that I always think back to with that is Patagonia, the company Patagonia. I might be mispronouncing his name, but the founder of Patagonia, Yvon Chouinard, he wrote a book years ago about Patagonia and how it started and its premise, its mission, its goals. But he wrote a book and it was called Let My People Go Surfing. And that was about his employees at Patagonia. And what he encouraged, first of all, the photography in that book is badass. It's amazing. It's a beautiful book. But I loved the title of it, Let My People Go Surfing. And he was talking about building pieces of clothing for living and being and playing and sporting outdoors that you would add to your closet and that would weather the storm. And what he wanted to instill in his employees was, I want them to work here and to value the products and live in and work in and believe in the sustainable clothing and the longevity of the clothing that we create. But I want them to get out and play and travel the world and be and live in that clothing. And that's very much how he built Patagonia and the lifestyle and the brand that was very lived out. And that's what I think of when I think of the energy of the 8, and also the 8 and the 4. It's this energy of, am I working for an organization that is making an impact, doing well? Do I believe in the infrastructure of the organization? Do I believe in their mission? Are their practices aligned with my values? Am I in a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a marriage, that really supports my values and I get to support their values in return, and it feels symbiotic or reciprocal? Looking at what is sustainable and what isn't, what aligns with your values and what doesn't. And Taurus is all about values. And again, this is not about busting up a relationship or storming out of a job because you work for a company and you don't believe in its larger mission or respect the leadership, those sorts of things. There's lots of power struggles and things at play. But asking those questions is important. And I get that we have to have money. We got to feed kids. We got to pay our bills. So this is not living in a Pollyanna state of, well, this company doesn't represent all the things I believe in, but I got to pay my bills. So it's not about leaving a job or being really irresponsible, but it's about starting to look at your value systems and what in your life reflects and supports and nourishes those values. And so maybe you're burnout in the job you're in. And let's say you're in the healthcare system or you're in finance or the banking world. There's a lot going on there. You're a school teacher, you're an educator, and you're in the school system or in academia. We're talking about some big systems there that have been built over a lot of time, a lot of capitalism. That stuff, those structures are dissolving and crumbling, and we may not feel like we have a voice in that change. It's okay. It's changing. Things are changing. The way we do business, the way we interact, our needs, our values, those things are changing. But let's say you're a doctor. Good grief. I know you went to school a long time, you paid a lot of money, and you probably are amazing at what you do, and you got in it for certain reasons, because you want to take care of people, you want to make a difference, you want to impact the health of people and their well-being. And then you got a chart, and then you've got insurance companies and malpractice, or you work in a big practice or a hospital system, and it's all about money and efficiency, and it becomes less and less patient-centric. I mean, I'm just using this as an example. Well, a doctor's not going to just storm out and say, I'm done with this today, but there are a lot of doctors that I work with that have been done with it for a while. And they're making step-by-step changes in what they do, diversifying their practices or diversifying the way that they think about business or what their plans are for the future. But they can't just turn the ship around overnight. So this is not a turn the ship around overnight kind of month. And if you are in a professional scenario where you're in a big conglomerate or system, just know that things are changing and shifting, but where your power is, your sovereignty is in recognizing the relationships, the scenarios in your life where values align and values are symbiotic. So in order to do that, you got to know what you value. That's a great place to start this month. So one, if something freaks you out and it's been on your heart, and you're ready for a big change, what do you do to take tangible action this month around that big leap, that quantum leap, that change? Number 2, getting clear on what you value. If you know what you value and really get clear on it and then begin to emulate it yourself in your relationships, the way you show up at work, the way you show up with your family or in relationship, that will start to make a difference because you're clarifying a point of attraction and you're doing it in a really conducive energetic space. And if you're confused about values or what you value, the best trick I know to figure that out is who really hacks you off. What really hacks you off? Who hacks you off? And it's not about the person. It's about what it triggers inside of you, like in a really emphatic way. I've given this example before, but I'm really big on respect. And it doesn't mean that I am always perfectly respectful, or I may do something that feels disrespectful or dismissive to someone else. And I certainly don't mean that, and I'll own my side of the street as best I can when I do. But in general, I appreciate accountability and respect, which just means communication. Hey, if you can't do something, or you don't have time, or you forget, for goodness sakes, because you're human, just say, I freaking forgot to do this, rather than me having to say, hey, why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you get this done? Or, hey, we talked about this and I knew you might be kind of busy. And I said, hey, just let me know if you get overwhelmed. Because I've already said, hey, just communicate with me. I'm pretty good at figuring out a plan forward as long as you tell me the truth. So that means I have to practice it too. So what do I value? Straightforward communication. And I value accountability and reciprocity. I also value meeting in the middle, like making a new game plan if we need to. So what I don't value are the converse of those things. People just not speaking up or just not doing something and then me having to follow up. Even if you're overwhelmed, oh my gosh, I forgot to call you today. I apologize for that. Can we talk tomorrow? And I tell you, with Mercury retrograde, I did that 2 or 3 times. Oh my gosh, I forgot to reach out to you. Can we talk tomorrow? And then tomorrow came and I forgot again. I mean, like that was Mercury retrograde. So I had to say, I promise I'm not that ditzy. I just am feeling like confused and unclear. You got to kind of forgive and you got to roll with those punches a little bit. But noticing what triggers you in people's actions or behaviors and really hacks you off kind of stuff will show you what you don't value in order to get clear on what you do. Cleaning house would be number 3.
I'm preaching to somebody today who is waiting for God to give you your next step. And you don't know what it is yet. You need God to show you your next step. Because God, I can't stay where I am, like I am, where it is. This isn't going to work. I have to move on, but I don't know where. A lot of time you'll use it as an excuse. Well, I don't know how. I don't know where. I don't know what. God, if you show me. God, if you tell me. God, if... No. You know enough right now. And if you needed to know more, he would show you.
Hey, this is Stephen Furtick. I want to invite you to listen to my podcast, Elevation with Stephen Furtick. I am here to help you for the battles that you face in life, for the times when you feel discouraged, for the times that you need guidance from God. I want to give you the truth of what he says about you to help you rise to your full potential. Listen to Elevation with Stephen Furtick every Sunday and Friday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, hi, I'm Rachel Zoe, and I'm back for another season of my podcast, Climbing in Heels. You might know me from the Rachel Zoe Project, or perhaps from my work as a celebrity stylist. And guess what? I'm still just as fully obsessed with all things fashion, beauty, and business. My podcast, Climbing in Heels, is all about celebrating the stories of extraordinary women, and this season, we're taking things up a notch. I'll be talking to some incredible women across so many industries, from models and beauty industry stars to doctors, entrepreneurs, and TV personalities. Climbing in Heels is here to bring you a weekly dose of glamour, inspiration, and fun. Every week, listeners will be able to ask me any questions. I'm answering it all. My life is absolutely crazy with so much going on, and I'm so beyond excited to bring you along for the ride. Whether we're talking red carpet looks, current trends, or products I'm obsessed with, I'm here to be your fashion fairy godmother. Listen to Climbing in Heels every Friday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get emotional with me, Radhi Devlukia, in my new podcast, A Really Good Cry. We're going to talk about and go through all the things that are sometimes difficult to process alone. We're going to go over how to regulate your emotions, diving deep into holistic personal development, and just building your mindset to have a happier, healthier life. We're going to be talking with some of my best friends.
I didn't know we were going to go there on this.
People that I admire.
When we say listen to your body, really tune into what's going on.
Authors of books that have changed my life.
Now you're talking about sympathy, which is different than empathy, right?
And basically have conversations that can help us get through this crazy thing we call life.
I already believe in myself. I already see myself. And so when people give me an opportunity, I'm just like, oh, great, you see me too.
We'll laugh together, we'll cry together, and find a way through all of our emotions. Never forget, it's okay to cry, as long as you make it a really good one. Listen to A Really Good Cry with Radhi Devlukia on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Cleaning house would be number 3. So, number 1, if it freaks you out, but it's been in your heart the last 6 months or a year, and it's coming up and coming up, this is the month to take action on it. Number 2 is figure out what you value, get very clear on that, and then start to assess how you are behaving within your values and what relationships or environments or interactions uphold those values. Number 3 is just clean house. Get organized. Close the cabinets, put the dishes away in the dishwasher, do the laundry, and put it all away. That will help with the mental and emotional clearing and the energetic shifts we have going on. And last but not least, probably the most important thing that I see right now and the remainder of this year and into the future is community. And it's really funny how you either have community or you don't. I know that sounds really black and white when I say that, and I am being somewhat black and white about it. I have quite a bit of community, and I have strived to nurture that community, which means I'm responsible for showing up, reaching out, and building that community, even when I'm a little tired, even when I don't feel like doing this today, but I committed to this, and these are healthy people for me to spend time with. And I'm not talking about not paying attention to your body or your boundaries or your time, but the time is now to build community, and you can build it one relationship at a time. And you would be very surprised at how many people I talk to, know, get to connect with who really don't know who their community or their people are. They'll say, well, I don't know who that person is that I can talk to. Or, no, I've got my kids and my home and my family and my day in and day out. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. Your day in, day out doesn't count. It's how are you building community outside of your work and your home and family. And I know we all have a lot on our plates. Do not get me wrong. But building community creates a unity, a sense of interconnectedness, and also it helps us to share in perspectives and energy. So whether you decide, and there are multiple ways to build community that does not have to be like climbing a mountain, exhaustive. So it could be literally getting a group of friends together one night a month for a potluck and a dinner. And you don't have to have, a recipe for it or an agenda. It's let's get together, let's eat together, and let's just go around the circle and share what's going on and listen to each other. Or let's say you're into knitting or you love some kind of crafting. Find a community center or a group that you go to on a monthly basis or whatever the schedule is, and go talk to people and build that community, which means you have to attend. You have to seek it out. Maybe it's your yoga or your workout community. And I'm not talking about just extracurricular at work or family events. It is really seeking out community and figuring out how to build that outside in addition to your work life and your home life. And again, I know that can sound or feel very daunting, but we need solidarity and community, like-minded people who hold space for us, where we get to hold space for other people. If you have experienced some extreme loss, a grief support group would be a great place to start, to dip your toe in, because you would be working in a therapeutic session and community where you're talking about your pain, you're talking about your loss, and you get to feel seen and heard. If you are struggling with alcoholism or addiction, I would say this is one of those months, and when I talk about if it freaks you out, if you know it's in your future, probably the time to get sober is now. And what I know about getting sober is I don't get sober alone, we get sober together. For all my control and all my mind games, I have to have a recovery community. And sometimes I'm fine. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to do all the things. And then I'm crazy in my head. And I'm like, I don't want to go to that meeting or this recovery commitment or pick up the phone when this person is calling and needs me. But when I change that attitude and I become willing, even if I'm a little tired, but I know it's going to fill me up, it's going to add some reserves in my bank, I usually come out of there feeling clearer, lighter, brighter, connected, uplifted, healthier. And by doing that consistently, and even consistently sometimes with a bad attitude. I have a friend in the recovery community, and we talk a lot about willingness in recovery. So if you're in recovery, we talk a lot about openness, honesty, and willingness. It's an acronym, HOW. Honesty, openness, and willingness. And those three ingredients are pretty damn powerful. So you don't have to be an addict or an alcoholic or, with some kind of ick or ism to apply the how. Honesty, open-mindedness, willingness. That is a recipe for freaking magic and success, okay? I know that. I've practiced it. I get it. I've seen other people do it. But I do have a friend in the recovery community, and she's a hard ass, right? She's one of those people you wouldn't want to run into in a dark alley. But if you know her, you know she's got your back, and you'd want her with you in the dark alley because she would rage on somebody, right? But here's what she says sometimes is, I don't care if you're not willing, just do it anyway. And you know what? I freaking love that. I actually effing love that. Excuse me, I want to say the F word, but I'm not. But I freaking love that she says, I don't care if you're willing, just do it anyway. Meaning, sometimes we have a hard time being willing to change, willing to heal, willing to own that we are messy, unwell, unhealthy, demotivated, in self-pity, in fear, and it can be overwhelming, and then we get stuck in that pity and that small place. Well, the time is now to rise up. Energy is shifting and changing so vastly that it's like, I don't care if you're willing, do it anyway. Clean out your closet this month. Whatever's been seated in your heart, whatever change is upon you, take some kind of action, do some kind of planning this month. You don't have to jump off the diving board, but take a little bit of action and believe in yourself. Believe in your sovereignty and your empowerment, because your attitude and your perspective is huge this month. And again, even if you're tired and unwilling, I don't care, do it anyway. I love the blunt people in this life, because those people have saved my life. The people that have gotten in my face in life, who have called me on my stuff and been really straightforward with me when I am whiny and messy or delusional, they don't give a you-know-what, and they've gotten in my face and they've called my spade a spade. Those are the people that have saved my life or changed my life and gotten my attention. This is the kind of month to freaking get your attention. You won't get new results doing what you did, and the game and the energy is changing. Let me use this analogy. A lot of times when I work with people, most everybody's playing checkers. And I can see it, I can feel it, and they're so capable of playing chess, right? But they're playing checkers because they're just so focused on their little stuff and their little day. And I've been there too. I've played checkers before, but I hadn't played checkers in a long time, right? I've been playing chess for a while because I always zoom up. What is the bigger picture? What am I learning from this? What is this pain teaching me? That stuff is hardwired and innate in me. But when you can get somebody to move from checkers to chess, which is strategy, which is 3 or 4 steps ahead. What is the bigger picture? What is this teaching me? Where am I growing? How am I evolving? How can I be better, do better, clarify, all those things? Gosh, that's fun to watch. But here's what's funny, is I freaking think, well, actually no, it's like there's no checkers, and I feel like the chessboard and all those wooden pieces on the chessboard are freaking lit on fire, and there is no playing board anymore. The rules are changing and the game is changing energetically, consciously, to where all of this 5th dimensional energy that's coming in that I've been talking about, which is really through the heart, this choice of love and seeking love and really experiencing things from a place of love rather than fear, means the rules of manifestation, the law of attraction, some of the rules in the universe, these universal spiritual principles and rules that I've followed for a long time are starting to shift and change. So all of a sudden, where I'm like, yeah, I've been playing chess and I feel good and I see how things are going and how to manifest and how to get into this, all of a sudden, I woke up the other day and I was like, I can't even play chess anymore. I'm sick of the games. Like, I just want to be, and I want to be in a higher state of consciousness. And how do I do that? One, I can't do it by myself. I have to do it. We got to do it in community. So I've got to have like-minded people around me that light my fire, lift me up, call me on my stuff, where I can do the same for them, and we grow and we learn and we hold space for each other. If it freaks me out, then I better take a good look at it and figure out how I can move towards it. I better clean out my closet, clean house this month, get some things organized, and I better freaking be consistent and do it over and over. This is a profound month, and I'll close in talking a little bit about the astrology and some dates that I think will be very helpful.
I'm preaching to somebody today who is waiting for God to give you your next step. And you don't know what it is yet. You need God to show you your next step. Because God, I can't stay where I am, like I am, where it is. This isn't going to work. I have to move on, but I don't know where. A lot of time you'll use it as an excuse. Well, I don't know how. I don't know where. I don't know what. God, if you show me. God, if you tell me. God, if... No. You know enough right now. And if you needed to know more, he would show you.
Hey, this is Stephen Furtick. I want to invite you to listen to my podcast, Elevation with Stephen Furtick. I am here to help you for the battles that you face in life, for the times when you feel discouraged, for the times that you need guidance from God. I want to give you the truth of what he says about you to help you rise to your full potential. Listen to Elevation with Stephen Furtick every Sunday and Friday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get emotional with me, Radhi Devlukia, in my new podcast, A Really Good Cry. We're going to talk about and go through all the things that are sometimes difficult to process alone. We're going to go over how to regulate your emotions, diving deep into holistic personal development, and just building your mindset to have a happier, healthier life. We're going to be talking with some of my best friends.
I didn't know we were going to go there on this.
People that I admire.
When we say listen to your body, really tune into what's going on.
Authors of books that have changed my life.
Now you're talking about sympathy, which is different than empathy, right?
And basically have conversations that can help us get through this crazy thing we call life.
I already believe in myself. I already see myself. And so when people give me an opportunity, I'm just like, oh, great, you see me too.
We'll laugh together, we'll cry together, and find a way through all of our emotions. Never forget, it's okay to cry, as long as you make it a really good one. Listen to A Really Good Cry with Radhi Devlukia on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, hi, I'm Rachel Zoe, and I'm back for another season of my podcast, Climbing in Heels. You might know me from the Rachel Zoe Project, or perhaps from my work as a celebrity stylist. And guess what? I'm still just as fully obsessed with all things fashion, beauty, and business. My podcast, Climbing in Heels, is all about celebrating the stories of extraordinary women, and this season, we're taking things up a notch. I'll be talking to some incredible women across so many industries, from models and beauty industry stars to doctors, entrepreneurs, and TV personalities. Climbing in Heels is here to bring you a weekly dose of glamour, inspiration, and fun. Every week, listeners will be able to ask me any questions. I'm answering it all. My life is absolutely crazy with so much going on, and I'm so beyond excited to bring you along for the ride. Whether we're talking red carpet looks, current trends, or products I'm obsessed with, I'm here to be your fashion fairy godmother. Listen to Climbing in Heels every Friday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is a profound month, and I'll close in talking a little bit about the astrology and some dates that I think will be very helpful. One, the first of the month, May, today, super powerful day because the first of the month is always powerful. It's a great time to make some shifts. I talked about address numerology. I've talked about it in a couple of podcasts before. I talked about it with my cousin Amy last week on her podcast, 4 Things with Amy Brown. We talked about address numerology. I've also got a great blog on address numerology. We'll put that in the show notes. This is a great time to make an energetic shift, and address numerology, I think, is such an easy metaphysical energetic tool to do it. All the details are in the blog, so that's a good practical tool if you want to incorporate some numerology, something energetic. It'll help you with your intention setting and shifting the energy of the environment around you. It would be a great month to change your home to a 4. Let me just tell all of you that. Like, you're going to be like, what should I change my energy to? I would say change it to a 4 because we're in a 4 month, and I love the 4 and the 8 combo, and the 4 will start helping you streamline, clean, organize, orchestrate, do that practical stuff we were talking about. Plus, we're in a 4 month. So anyway, address numerology would be a great tool. May 1st is a really good power day to set intentions, to get clear, to take some concerted, clear, practical action. May 7th is the new moon in Taurus. The new moon in Taurus is always about practical magic because it's about the material world. It's a great moon, first of all, to get quiet and get still. And it is a wonderful moon for community and nurture and connection. It's a really great mood. It's a great mood. It's a great mood, and it's a great moon to build something into reality. So the 7th, that new moon, that's the day of my live event in Austin, which I am thrilled about because we have one community. And when together in community, we clarify and we streamline and we harness our energies together, boom, really profound stuff happens in a very, very accelerated rate. So the Taurus new moon would be a great time to do something with some community. Do it with a couple of good friends. Go to dinner with a couple of good friends. Sit down and write out intentions with your family. You know, even though I'm talking about community being outside of your home and family, use the resources you have right now to show the universe that you're taking action. So maybe setting some intentions around or with your family on the new moon. Hey, what do we want to manifest? What do we want to create? What do we want to see happen in our day-to-day home life over the next few months? It's a great time maybe with your partner to do that. If you're challenged in work stuff right now, who is a co-worker or 2 or 3 or more, depending on what your scenario is, that you could say, hey, let's get together today and let's talk about what we're excited about and what we're challenged by, and how we can capitalize on what we're excited about and how we can start to eliminate or heal or change what is driving us nuts. So it's not a bitch session, it's a strategy session. This is such a strategy moon, and it's so much about the material world and doing things practically that will be sustainable, which is also the energy of the 4. So that's a really powerful day. As I mentioned, Mercury will move into Taurus on the 15th. So between now and the 15th of the month, Mercury is in Aries. It's tracking over all of its shadow where it orbited during Mercury retrograde. It's a time to get very clear in what you want, the I am. What do I want? And then go deeper than that and say, what do I know? Here's what I want, but what do I know about how I relate to what I want? So here's an example for anybody out there. I'm just going to arbitrarily pull this one. I know I want a new job. Like, I am done. I'm over this job. I can't do it any longer. I am exhausted. I'm unhappy. This is not sustainable for me any longer. I've outgrown it. Not a match. Doesn't fit my value system. Not a match. Okay, so I know I want a new job, and I know I want a new job. So that I know below that, meaning what do you know about what you want? So if you want a new job, and we've just stated the why behind what you want around that new job. So figure out the why behind your want, and then go deeper and say, what do I know? And where I would go with the I know with that is, I know I am capable of, fill in the blank. I am talented in these areas. I am well suited for. I am experienced in. So, what do you want? You want a new job. Why do you want it? I'm exhausted. I've outgrown this. I'm not paid enough. I'm undervalued. I'm bored. Outline that. And then go deeper. I know I am worthy of being compensated abundantly in line with my worth and values. I know I am talented in, fill in the blank. I know I am experienced in. I know I am capable of. I know I'm excited for. So you see, there's a whole process of getting clear about what you want, getting clear about why you want it, and then getting very clear about what you know, meaning not selling yourself short. You're not having to rewrite your resume for anybody else or sell yourself to anyone else. The only important person to build yourself up to and sell yourself up to is you right now. I know I am talented in. I know I'm valuable here. I know these are my gifts. This is where my creativity is. This is where my intelligence is. Name your qualities. The I know stuff. We all have things that we innately, fundamentally know about ourselves deep down. This is a really good month to clarify that. And if you can do that between now and May 15th, the sun will move into Taurus on the 20th, but Mercury moves into Taurus on the 15th. There's a lot of good energy where you will feel more clear and the action will flow by getting very, very clear on what do you want, why do you want it, and what do you know. Use that formula and use it over and over again with yourself to rewire some of those patterns and thought processes, because it'll help you with your values, your point of attraction, and playing by some new rules of engagement, because the energy is accelerating. And so it's almost like rules and energy is changing so rapidly that if we are not sovereign and strong in our talents, in our energy, in our heart space, it's not sustainable. And a lot of people are cracking under depression and pressure and like all sorts of things. I'm seeing it. I can feel it in myself, but I'm like, oh, heck no. I know here's where my talents are. I know here's where my gifts are. I know here's where my joy is. Those kinds of things. There's a full moon in Sagittarius on May 23rd, and I'll talk about that later, but that's a really good moon to think about your belief systems. So I'm not going to go into that now. I'll go into it later because we've been talking about values. But Sagittarius, once we get into that full moon energy, is really good to reassess beliefs and to expand consciousness and beliefs. So we'll be ready by then to talk about some of that. And hopefully some of you will have seen some pretty significant shifts in your direction forward and in your energy field. And most importantly, Jupiter enters Gemini on May 25th. I'm so here for this. I'm so excited about it. We talked about it a little bit in my podcast with Hannah, the astrologer Hannah is elsewhere. So if you want to check out that podcast, Jupiter has been in Taurus for the last year, and it's in late degrees of Taurus right now, and then it will shift into Gemini for the next year. So I believe it enters May 25th, and then it will be in Gemini until June of 2025. And I tell you what, when Jupiter enters Gemini, get ready, because it's all about consciousness. It's all about our working mind and how we communicate and how we work and how we use our savvy and how we use our inner voice and clarity and point of attraction, because if not, it's going to feel erratic and misguided. But I am here for it. We'll talk more about it later, but it's a really exciting energy. So here are some things to remember and recap this month. We're in a 4-month, which is all about practicality, step-by-step actions, checking off things on a to-do list, feeling the satisfaction of a job well done. Within the energy and the context of the 8 universal year, there is this element of, if it freaks you out and you've been dragging your feet on something that you know is true in your soul and know needs to heal or change or happen in your life, this is the month to get clear and figure out how you can plan and take action. It's kind of use it or lose it energy. I mean, there's an urgency to it. So clean house, be consistent, and do something to build community. And it's funny, even when I say that, I feel like a lot of people out there won't take that one seriously. I kind of shrug my shoulders and I'm like, I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. You might clean your closet out, but you'll be like, community will come later. That's kind of one of those things where I was saying, I don't care if you're willing, do it anyway. That's why I'm like, okay, I don't care if you're willing to build community or you don't have time or you're tired, go build community. I want to be like lovingly in your face and saying, oh my gosh, do something in community with other people and do it again. Go find some buddies and get in some friendships, some community, some like-minded people that feel healthy and uplifting and fun or creative, or something outside of your day-to-day life, day-to-day home life or work routines. Friendship, community is imperative. We are going to need each other, and we need to know who our human resources are in the years ahead. My husband and I are really good at that. Like, we know who our people are, and sometimes the community expands, and sometimes the community shifts and changes and gets a little bit smaller. But we know who we could call on for X, Y, or Z, or we would be available for them to call on us. And then we make a concerted effort to spend time with them as best possible, even when we're tired. And my husband's better at it than me. So I'm grateful for that. I don't get better, get clearer by myself. I do it together with other people. I know that the effect is personal. I get to work on myself. I get to clean my side of the street. But when I do it amongst and with other people, whatever that may look like for you in community, it exponentially shifts the energy field. And we need that community and unity in the community in the years ahead. And that's really important. Okay, everyone, if you are coming out on May 7th to the Austin, Texas event, I'm super excited. The herb bar is going to be there. So we're going to have all sorts of herbal remedies and medicines that will help accelerate and uplift your mind, body, spirit practices. And these things freaking work. The tinctures I have used, they are mind-blowing in how quickly they will accelerate whatever I am dealing with on a physical level sometimes, or an emotional or a mental level, or on a spiritual level. Like, it just all works pretty magically. So I'm excited to have the herb bar joining us. And also I'm excited because in community and in group, we will do some rapid acceleration stuff to get very clear within our energy fields in healing and being seen in community and harnessing our potential in a very clear and directed way that is going to feel magnetized. So I'm super excited. And if you can't join that event, if you're not in Austin, Texas, I know so many people have reached out and asked if we were going to live stream it. We're not going to live stream this one, but the good news is over the course of May, I'm super excited to announce that I'm going to be creating all sorts of online virtual offerings. So workshops and courses and group meditations, events that you can participate in. So guess what? You can build community. So because I am emphasizing that and know the power of it, I'm going to work to and actively, practically create things online where we can harness and build in spiritual community with other like-minded seekers and curious people who are growing, shape-shifting, expanding their perspective, their reality, reclaiming their sovereignty. From anything from working with oracle cards and the chakras to really looking at polarity and relationship and energy fields and psychic and intuitive abilities, all sorts of things. So know that if you don't know where to get started in community, but you're hungry for it, be on the lookout because I will start to create different offerings where you can dip your toe in and see what's for you. And it'll lead to other community. So it's like a ripple effect, a domino effect. Everybody, be well and remember, love is all. Right now, everything is this coming from a place of love or is it coming from a place of fear? And the more you can ask that question and the more you have the courage to move into a more inclusive, loving space in your day-to-day, in your interactions, and your perspective, you're busting up the rules of the game. And you're just not even here to play games anymore. You're just here. You're here to be you, shine your light, and accelerate. Be well, everyone.
Every family has an origin story, one passed down through the generations. Mine happens to be a mystery involving my great-great-grandmother left behind in Sicily. I'm Jo Piazza, and my new podcast will transport you to the gorgeous island of Sicily as I trace my roots back through a whodunit for the ages. Listen to The Sicilian Inheritance on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Maya Shankar, and I'm a scientist who studies human behavior. Many of us have experienced a moment in our lives that changes everything, that instantly divides our life into a before and an after. On my podcast, A Slight Change of Plans, I talk to people about navigating these moments. Their stories are full of candor and hard-won wisdom. And you'll hear from scientists who teach us how we can be more resilient in the face of change. Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Black Effect presents Family Therapy, and I'm your host, Elliot Connie. Jay is the woman in this dynamic who is currently co-parenting 2 young boys with her former partner, David.
David, he is a leader. He just don't want to leave me.
But how do you lead a woman? How do you lead in a relationship? Like, what's the blueprint?
David, you just asked the most important question. Listen to Family Therapy on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.